What's up, friends? Been a while indeed. Hopefully, y'all can hear me here. I do believe I have it set up correctly after 13 tries and my little bit of a setup spiel going on here. Whatever, I'm messing up already. It's okay. Doing this live for those that don't know. So when I mess up, it's real and I'm not re-recording it because, again, it's live. Anyway, hope y'all are doing well. Things have been crazy for me. It's why I haven't been doing any lives. I've been purchased the house and all the craziness that goes along with that, the closing, they had to replace the roof. They just did that today. That was a wild thing. You know what I mean? They've literally been hammering on my roof since like freaking 8 o'clock this morning, but they're finished. It's awesome. I've never seen anybody get a roof done in one day. It's pretty badass. But again, here to talk about the price of addiction. And this is one of those that hits home for me. And it's something that, I have personal experience with. Unfortunately, I was an addict. I don't like to use the term recovering addict. You can use whatever you like. It's like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. I don't like to use that term. I haven't drank in almost 10 years now. It's been since I've drank alcohol. So I don't like to use the term, oh, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I disagree with that. I used to drink, used to be an alcoholic, whatever you want to call it. But that's not something I do anymore. And that's not to knock people who do drink. Some people can drink, can control it. I'm just not one of those people. I'm not a 2-beer guy. You know what I mean? I'm going to sit and I'm going to get wasted. And, it did lead to some interesting stories. I have some crazy stories I could tell all day long about the times that I drank. And a lot of people don't even believe me, because I was essentially a different person because I've literally lived with social anxiety disorder my whole life. So what do you think alcohol does to somebody with social anxiety disorder? Pretty much unlocks all that fear, all that nonsense that you have in your mind about the world. It just makes it go away. It makes you essentially not give a rat's ass, without finding better words. And honestly, sometimes it's one of those things like you can go into situations like, holy crap, I'm Superman. But that led me into some nonsense crap, and we can get into that later. But gonna again talk about the price of addiction. So one of the main reasons I was thinking about this, I was actually walking up to work, and every day I walk past homeless folks who are literally, even people that live right essentially down in the bushes down the road from me, who were in there just shooting up drugs on the side of the road. And it sucks, man, because those people are essentially trapped. And yes, you could argue that these people are doing it to themselves. I've heard it all. And I'm not here to make excuses for anybody. What I'm here to talk about is the price of this. And, those are somebody's parents. Those are somebody's children that are out there on the streets. I have friends that are still stuck out on the streets and this stuff. And what can happen, say you have the worst day of your entire life, say your child dies, for example, and one day you're at a party, somebody hands you a drug that literally numbs all your pain, gets rid of all that suffering that you have on the inside that you don't know how to deal with. It can make you stuck. Then all of a sudden you're starting to seek that over and over and over again. So that way you're not feeling those emotions. It's the same thing with alcohol. That's why a lot of alcoholics get trapped in these cycles where they're, hey, I'm going to get wasted 24/7 and not deal with the pain. I know this for a fact because that was for me. That was what I did. When my daughter died, that's what I did. I crawled into a bottle and literally stayed there for years and was drunk all the time. I mean, I was drunk all the time before that, but it became worse at that point. And then, I started taking pills, anything and everything that I could to not feel that pain. And I think, you could argue all day long what this comes from, maybe, addicts or whatever didn't learn to regulate emotions in childhood. Like there's different studies that you can look into on this, but there's no clear consensus on where all this stuff comes from. A lot of people will call it a disease, substance abuse disorder. I'm not here to argue whether or not it's a disease because it does function as though it's a disease. It really does. If you look at it scientifically, it functions as though it is a disease, but a lot of people would use that as like, say, oh, I have a substance abuse disorder, so I'm going to go and do this, this, and this, and this, instead of trying to get the help they need. But, that's why one other reason I advocate for like Suboxone or methadone, despite how controversial those are, medication assisted therapy is a really good route for that. So I'm going to give you an example for that, because you can take one of these people from the streets here, and they're not going to get clean by themselves. It takes a overwhelming desire to do this. So you take them, put them on Suboxone, for example. What that does is that essentially, it gives you a medication that acts on those receptors while also nullifying other substances in the background. That's what methadone is. I'm not 100% sure about Suboxone because I took methadone, but I know that methadone for sure, like, not only does it, affect those opiate receptors, it also blocks out or makes, ineffective any opiates that you put in your body at that point. And so, I mean, you are essentially trading one for another, but there's a caveat. If you're doing heroin, you're not going to have a functioning adult life. You're not going to go to work. I mean, some people do. Okay. Some people do go to work, but that never lasts long. Okay. You never fully function forever on those kind of drugs. And that's one of the things I thought I could do. I thought I could control all that kind of stuff. And then bam, next thing you know, you're homeless living on your sister's lawn. And, but I'm a prime example that if you can, you can fix your life. You can change your life for the better. Literally, back in 2018, I was living on my sister's lawn in a freaking pop-up trailer. And now I own my own house. I'm not here to brag. I'm here to tell you that you can literally do whatever it is that you want and put your mind to. That's why I make these, positive podcasts, why I make these positive freaking messages on Instagram and stuff like that, is to try to give hope to somebody who is not seeing that in their day-to-day life. I came across the video one time when I was so freaking low that I was, considering ending my life. And that video changed my perspective, and it led me down different paths of like alternative mental healing and stuff like that. Because when I had gone to the doctor, all they want to do is prescribe you more and more drugs, and it turns you into a freaking zombie. And again, I'm not here to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. This is just my story, my path. I know that when I went to the dang doctor, they would just be like, "Oh, we're going to up your dose. We're going to up your dose. We're going to up your dose." And in reality, you need to talk and get that crap out of you. Like, you can up your dose so you're feeling okay in the moment and you don't go off the deep end, but you also need to talk and get that stuff out and figure out different ways of dealing with stuff that you don't require meds. You know what I mean? But like these alternative healing methods and whatnot led me to books like The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. This one, like, again, this is not an ad. This is just my personal stuff here. But this book completely changed my entire perspective on existence. And that's one of the things that's led me onto this viewing alternative, not only alternative books, but like alternative medicines for healing and stuff like that. And you can find a lot of herbs and all kinds of neat stuff that'll help your mental status. Like I don't know how you pronounce it, but ashwagandha is really good for taking for anxiety, and it honestly does work. Or I mean, you can go to the doctor and get them to prescribe you their meds too. Either way, whatever works for you works for you. You know what I mean? But back to the idea of like the price of addiction is, seeing these people on the street is what makes me want to talk about this. It's just, if you're watching this, there is hope. There is methods and ways that you can get off this stuff. Again, going to these clinics, for example, will give you medication to get you right in the moment so you can go to freaking work. The only way you're going to get off the street is by going to work and making money. And that sucks. It sucks having to work for somebody else. But what sucks more is living on the freaking street. Like, having that perspective is what made me be serious about going to work every day, despite the fact anybody watching this knows I called out today. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to call out of work. Okay. It happens. No matter what, no matter how good you're dealing with mental health or think you're dealing with mental health, eventually you're going to have days where it sucks. You're going to have days where you feel hopeless. That's the way the mind works. You're never going to have 100% days. It's not possible. There's always going to be bumps in the road. So just because somebody talks about, ways to get more positivity into your life or talks about positive things doesn't mean that they're not going to stumble and fall. Like, it happens all the freaking time. Like, seriously. But when you start to feel well again, you can look back at these moments and laugh like, man, I was really over the top anxietied out for no freaking reason. like about this whole roof thing. I was really over the top anxiety. I'm like, man, I can't do anything. I'm like paralyzed. And in those moments, you got to remember to breathe. You got to remember to focus on the present moment and what you can control. But it's just funny to really think about that kind of stuff. Probably gonna have to keep this one short tonight because I don't have much time. Um, Again, I got my 12-year-old watching my baby in there, and he's already struggling. I can tell because he don't listen to him. But anyway, so on a few things that can the price of addiction can cause is financial ruin. Addiction can lead to significant financial strain due to purchasing of substance. Trust me on this one, bro. I like to say that if you put half as much energy into saving money for yourself as you did paying for these drugs, you would have no financial trouble at all. Like, no exaggeration, at certain points in maybe me, maybe somebody else I'm talking about's existence, we were spending, $150 a day on certain things. And that's crazy to think about because, that's well over like what, $4,000 a month. And you didn't have a job. Generally, you're getting this from God knows what source, you know what I mean? Sometimes you'd be doing DoorDash. Sometimes some of these people would be holding signs for money on the side of the street. I'm not saying everybody who's holding signs trying to get money is looking for drugs, but I'm saying a large percentage of them are. And what they'll do is they'll pool their money together. A bunch of them will stand on different areas. They'll pool their money together. They'll find a guy, buy it in bulk. Then they all get high for the day. And then they repeat the cycle tomorrow. I know this because I know people that do it. And yes, granted, there are people that are doing it because they want to get food. I get it. I'm not saying this for everybody, but I'm saying a large portion of these people are doing this way and keeping this habit going, because that habit, when you're doing these kind of habits, that's your number one. That is your mission every single day, is to get high and get yourself not feeling like crap, because it feels like intentionally. So like, I'd say like opiates and heroin, it feels like intentionally giving yourself the flu. Like you are literally subjecting yourself to the flu when you don't have that medication. It can be as bad as like you can go, have seizures and all kinds of stuff. Same thing with alcohol, dude. It's crazy. But that literally is that person's number one mission every day. And you can see it. I can see it when I look at people. I can tell which person on the side of the road is, withdrawing, is, needing a freaking fix. To me, it's obvious because I've been down this road, right? But maybe to other people, it's not. And I try to help people no matter what. If I have cash on me, I'll give people cash. I try to help people out because I know what that feels like. And sometimes a single helping hand can make a difference in a person's existence like you wouldn't believe. Like, I'll give an example of this. Somebody one time, I was paying for gas with change. I had like $3 in change to my name out of gas, one of the lowest points in my entire experience. And I went to put in my $3, and all of a sudden it went up to $23. Turns out one of the people behind me, still don't know who it is, put $20 in under my thing for me. And I'll never forget that, because I was able to get to work at that point, because at that point I was trying to turn my life around. And that's why I'm saying that I know that God is real. Whether or not people know, whether or not people want to believe that there is a creator, or there's something going on in this world that's more than meets the eye, I know it is. And to me, that's an example of that. Yes, it's a good person. Yes, that's an example of just somebody being a good person. But I also believe in the power of coincidences and stuff like that. But I'm not here to talk about God. I'm here to talk about addiction. I know a lot of people get triggered by that and will eat me up in the comments. Well, God isn't real because of this and that. Yeah, and you know what? You could argue this all day. I could argue this all day. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you believe in is what you believe in. What I believe in is what I believe in. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to tell you my story. And that is it, man. That's one of those things that freaking changed my whole life. It's crazy. Like, some people, a helping hand can help somebody's entire, you can change somebody's whole perspective about humanity by helping them out. But anyway, another price of addiction is an obvious one: health deterioration. So obviously they can cause severe physical damage, organ failure, chronic diseases, risk of infections. And that's one of the arguments for the whole safe injection sites, or where they give out free needles and stuff like that, is to risk, to lower the financial strain on the medical system for like tuberculosis and stuff like that, AIDS, HIV, all these, when people share needles, the kind of crap that they get. And it's the truth. Whether or not it's right to give people those things, like, people are going to do these drugs anyway. And should it be given through taxpayer dollars? No, but are these diseases are essentially going to be treated with taxpayer dollars anyway. So it's a really, this one of those really muddy water type of deals. Another one is legal troubles. Like, obviously, being an addict can lead you into lots of legal troubles. For me, for example, my license was suspended quite a bit. I never got charged with anything. I never was like got felonies on my record, never anything like super bad. But, I had, driving around on suspended license and been arrested a couple times for that, but nothing, serious like that. And I'm thankful for that, because I know lots of people, for example, I have a cousin who's in jail. And would he be in jail if it wasn't for his addiction? Absolutely not. It changes people. It makes you into a person that isn't really you. Like, I don't look at that person as me, despite, what you want to believe. Like, I don't believe that person is me. It is, so it's hard to explain, but it's like you're acting on something that isn't you. So like when you're incredibly drunk, a lot of people say that's your real self, but I don't think so. I think that is you're suppressing your thinking mind, and you're acting on all these impulses that you've built up based on all your life experiences. And if your life experience has been super bad, you're going to let this badness out, and it's going to you're going to do all kinds of crap that you normally wouldn't do. So again, I don't believe necessarily that that person is that person. You're not yourself when you're freaking doped up on drugs, when you're on alcohol, or you're high on narcotics, drunk, drinking, etc. I just said the same things twice there. Oh well, you know what I mean. But another thing, obviously, mental health decline. Addiction can obviously exacerbate your mental health disorders like depression, anxiety, and psychosis. Obviously, bro. Like, this is one of those things that, you end up, you're taking a medication. Same thing with like mental health medication. You're taking a medication to help your mental health, but at the same time, that medication can also end up making your stuff worse. And that is the problem that I had. It essentially can work for a little bit, but you're not meant to stay on this crap forever. That's what they don't tell you. They'll keep prescribing you the crap because they want to create a customer. And there's a real fine line between the pharmaceutical industry and drug dealers. I mean, you want to get technical, really the same crap. And, whatever, people can say what they want. Like, as someone who has been prescribed all kinds of medications recklessly, you go into the doctor right now, you go into a mental health doctor, you tell them I have this, this, and this, and this. They're going to prescribe you medications for this, 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 and this. Yes, they can give you a test. Yes, they can do this, but do they ever ask you, hey, what happened in your experience that would cause anything like this? They don't ask you none of that crap. They don't want to know. They want to know how you're feeling in this moment, and then they want to try and correct how you're feeling in this moment, regardless of, hey, I just needed somebody to talk to vent out for a few minutes. Because you can build, again, I've said this before in a lot of my streams, you can build entire realities around running from your problems. And that's what a lot of people do, is that they don't want to talk about it. They just will continue running from it, especially men. Men have a problem with this more than just about anybody. And because we don't talk about stuff, we talk about stuff and it ends up getting used against us sometimes. You know what I mean? It sucks, but it's the truth. You got to let this stuff out. You got to talk to somebody. You cannot drink away the problems. They will never go away. You can't smoke away the problems. It's never going to go away. And you know where this is going. Obviously, you can't drug away the problems. It ain't going to go away, bro. The only way you're going to ever deal with any of that stuff is to talk about it. If you had trauma that happened when you were a kid, that's where you got to start. You got to start talking about that. You got to start forgiving people. Forgiveness is the way that you release all of this. And it's not enough just to say, hey, I forgive you. You have to feel this. You have to truly believe that you forgive this person. And not only that, you got to forgive yourself. You know what I mean? Because we hold grudges against ourselves for being upset. I'm upset with myself that I got upset. That happens a lot where you have no idea. Like, it's crazy. But anyways, I'm about out of time here. I can tell. Again, my kids are struggling to keep them at the top of the stairs. I don't want them to end up tripping and falling down the stairs over here. I'm glad I got to come on here and overcome my anxiety, because I've had massive anxiety trying to get all this stuff done. And, when it's been a while since you got on a live stream, it can be kind of scary, right? But again, I think anybody who's ever taken the time to watch anything that I do, you are worth so much more than you realize. I need you to know that. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Many blessings.